Hello friends, welcome into the Cowboys Report presented by The Guild. I'm Tom Downey. Follow me on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney. Let's dive into the first rumor of the day here. The Cowboys, they signed Kony Ealy, so is a defensive end going to be cut at least in or by the end of training camp? 4 stars on this one. It makes too much sense for it to not go down. The Cowboys now have some competition at defensive end. They now have 6 defensive ends on the roster. Datone Jones, Taco Charlton, Tyrone Crawford, DeMarcus Lawrence, and more there. Somebody is going to end up getting cut with the addition of Kony Ealy there. Taco's not going to get cut. DeMarcus Lawrence is not going to get cut. But those other guys are all going to compete for maybe 2 to 3 roster spots. And oh, that doesn't include suspended Randy Gregory if he comes back, or a draft pick there. So somebody is going to end up getting cut here by the Dallas Cowboys. If Charles Tapper can't stay healthy, maybe it'll be him. Datone Jones was impressive in the limited snaps he got last year, but I do wonder which one of these guys is going to get cut. So I want to know from you, who do you think is going to be dumped by the Cowboys in training camp? You can save the most money by cutting Tyrone Crawford, but he's done a lot of the dirty work, and he was your starter last year. Maybe if there's been a high pick and or Taco Charlton really wows in preseason, maybe then the Cowboys try and move on from Crawford. But my guess, Crawford, Charlton, DeMarcus Lawrence, those guys are all in relatively good shape. The rest of those bodies, plus some free agents, either undrafted or maybe a mid to early round pick at defensive end, will all compete for a defensive end spot. Kony Ealy's addition has got to make Charles Tapper and Datone Jones feel a little bit concerned about their roster status, especially since guys like David Irving can kick outside and play some defensive end. Speaking of defensive end, Ryan Delaire, is he going to come to the Cowboys? 2 stars on this one. He worked out for the Cowboys this week. Did not play last year after suffering a torn ACL. 3.5 sacks in two years with Carolina. More or less was kind of the backup defensive end, was hurt as well. Only played in about a full season worth of games. He would be a depth option there, a guy that you could see get signed for no guaranteed money and compete for a roster spot. All the more reason, but by the way, folks, I think one of those guys at defensive ends, Jones, Tapper, and so on, is going to end up being cut once we get to the 53-man roster cut down. Stick in the trenches here, offensive line. Tyron Smith, is he feeling healthier than ever? Well, 3 stars on this one. Brian Broaddus says that Smith is feeling better. Says Smith reportedly feels the best he's felt in years. But of course he does. That's how it is every single offseason. Guys are in the best shape of their life. They're feeling the best they've ever felt. So 3 stars on this one. It does seem pretty likely. Doesn't need surgery on that back, which is good news for Smith because he battled it for quite a while last year. It was not the same player we've seen in the past. Still a very good tackle, but not quite the #1 left tackle in the NFL we're used to seeing out of Tyron Smith. So hopefully he is feeling healthier. But of course, what else is he going to say that other than I am feeling super healthy? Keep it rolling now. Next up, is Dez's route running not an issue? Well, if you ask Dez Bryant, it is, but we're only giving this one just the 1 star because Dez, there's a reason he's working with the route running guru this offseason. You don't do that if you feel great about your route running. Now, I think it's in better shape than some want to say it is, but it's not quite perfect. And I think part of this is because the Cowboys' offensive system is not designed to allow Dez Bryant to have great routes and all that kind of stuff there because they didn't run enough comeback routes. They ran a lot of go routes with Dez Bryant. I don't think the offensive scheme is designed properly, but I do think there is room for Dez to work on his route running. I think all of you guys would agree with it as well. Former receivers would feel the same way. So Dez is talented. I'm not quite prepared to give up on Dez Bryant yet, but his route running does need some work. And I think working out with the guru is an indication that, yeah, he feels similarly, although I don't think it's as bad as some want to make it about Dez Bryant. I think the offensive scheme is the bigger issue at the Cowboys wide receiver spot, less so the actual talent of the players. Next up, more Dez Bryant talk here. Does he do few things really well? Well, people are most certainly talking on this one. 2 stars because, well, that was the report from Albert Breer of SI. It says a Cowboys staffer said that Dez, quote, does very few things really well. Says he can't run by guys anymore. Says he lacks the explosion that he used to have as well. Says that Dez's roster spot is not concerned. That last part, I actually do very much agree with because we've seen this time and time again around the Cowboys and around Dez Bryant that they haven't made the declaration, hey, he's back next year. They've kind of waffled about, haven't had the meeting that we were told was going to happen this week. Hasn't happened this week, which indicates to me the Cowboys are trying to wait until after the draft. They want to see if someone falls to them. If they spend a first, maybe even a high second-round pick on a wide receiver, maybe then you see the Cowboys move on and try and get somebody else there as well. But for now, I think Dez is secure in his roster spot, but that could change if you see an early round pick with the Cowboys. And there are clearly several within the Cowboys organization, I kind of think led by Stephen Jones and Scott Linehan, that, hey, they don't want Dez Bryant. They don't think he's a good fit for Dak Prescott. I think he's fine on that end, but you got to wonder about how much longer Dez is going to remain with the Cowboys, even just beyond this coming season. So I want to know from you guys, what should the Cowboys do with Dez Bryant? Give me a heart for a keep, a like for a pay cut, a laughy face for a cut, and a wow face for a trade. I say keep Dez Bryant, try and get him to take a pay cut, but I think you got bigger needs to address in the draft. Don't spend an early round pick on a wide receiver. If you do, still keep Dez Bryant. Try like hell to trade T. Will. Not going to happen. Probably going to have to cut for Cole Beasley or trade him at that point, but I say keep Dez Bryant. We're going to talk some more draft stuff here, folks, in just a little bit, Arden Key among them. But first, we're going to get a word from our sponsor, The Guild. All right, draft stuff the rest of the way on today's show. First up, Arden Key and the Cowboys. Well, 2 stars on this one, firmly in that rumor category because Key is taking a visit with the Dallas Cowboys, and I'll explain what those stars mean here in just a second as well. Arden Key is one of the Cowboys' 30 pre-draft official visits. First-round talent, maybe even like top 15 talent, but a lot of off-the-field concerns. There were some focus issues. He was really underweight this year. There are injury concerns for Key as well. The talent's there. This team's kind of more of a fact-finding mission around Key, trying to figure out, hey, you spent some time away from LSU. You weren't the same player when you came back. What's going on around Arden Key? The talent's there, and I think bringing in Key, bringing in Harold Landry shows Dallas is considering spending an early-round pick on another edge rusher, which maybe that's some insurance in case DeMarcus Lawrence leaves next offseason. If you're wondering what the stars are, it's your first time watching the show, here's what they mean. 0 stars, it's the number of fights OBJ won against the net. Don't buy it. 1 star means it's a small shred of truth, not quite totally to be believed, but there is some evidence behind it. 2 stars means people are talking firmly in that rumor category. 3 stars means it's pretty likely, not quite set in stone, but it should go down, just not quite official yet. And 4 stars means that Dez caught it. It's a fact. It's a done deal. Some more pre-draft visits to get to here. How about Mike McGlinchey to the Cowboys? 2 stars in this one. He is another pre-draft visitor for the Cowboys. I would actually be okay with this one. I argued that the Cowboys should go guard, but if McGlinchey's on the board at number 19, I can live with that. I think he'd be a perfect fit at right tackle for the Dallas Cowboys. He'd be a first-round pick. I don't think he's a left tackle in the NFL, but you put him at right tackle, he can survive a little bit better against the speed I think he's going to have issues with in the NFL, and he had against, for example, Georgia at college at Notre Dame. I think it'd be a nice fit if he's on the board, but maybe not the route the Cowboys are going to end up going in the end. Some more draft notes here about Tarvarius Moore and the Cowboys. Maybe a name you guys aren't familiar with, but he's rapidly moving up some draft boards there, thanks in part to his pro day. And Moore had a blistering 4.32 40-yard dash at his Southern Miss pro day. That's impressive on that end. So 2 stars in this one. He is going to be one of the Cowboys' 30 official visits for Dallas. Was not invited to the NFL Combine. Could be the first non-Combine invitee off the board. The speed is there. I think he can be a free safety in the NFL. Haven't watched all of his tape. I've watched a few games so far. Keep an eye on Moore, maybe as early as day 2 in the NFL draft because he's got the speed and the athleticism that teams want out of the safety position. And our last rumor of the day, the Cowboys looking at local players at their Dallas day. Yeah, 4 stars on this one. We'll break down some of the more notable prospects here in just a second. Chief among them, though, Connor Williams, a potential first-round pick, stopped by for Dallas Day. What Dallas Day is every NFL team gets to have their Dallas Day or their local day for all their local prospects that can come in and meet with them, and they don't count against the 30 prospects that the teams get to bring in. So local players, like some kids from Texas, like some kids from SMU, we'll break down some of the more notable ones here. Williams, as we've mentioned, can be a tackle. Deshaun Elliott, a guy we've mentioned in the past, we knew was going to come to Dallas Day. He checked in this week. Trey Quinn could be a mid-round pick at wide receiver. And then there are some interesting quarterbacks the Cowboys have also looked at as of late. Chris Warren's a halfback, but he might need to move to tight end. He's just not quite good enough to be a true halfback. Kenny Hill, Richard Legault, Devontae Kincaid when he move positions. All quarterbacks that came by. I wouldn't be all that surprised if one of those guys we just showed you ends up being either a late draft pick or an undrafted free agent because the Cowboys like to spend picks on those types of players and bring them in because they check them out at that Dallas Day.